Okay, kids, it's story time. Take out your storybook, spot the fire dog, and turn to page 1. Remember to follow along with your finger and repeat as we read the story together.
Spot the Fire Dog. Written by Tim Castling. Illustrated by K.S. Yen. It was 4 o'clock, and Spot the Fire Dog was dreaming about rabbits. Bob, the fire chief, was in his office watching baseball on television. The other firefighters, Linus and Maple, were in the gym playing table tennis. Suddenly, the alarm rang. There was a fire at the library. Bob, Linus, and Maple all put on their fire clothes and jumped in the fire truck. Spot was already in his seat, right next to Bob. They raced across town, and as soon as they passed the train station, they could see the smoke coming up from the library. Outside the library, there were lots of cars and lots of people, and everyone was running around, shouting loudly. Linus and Maple pulled out the fire hose, and Spot barked at anyone who came near the fire. Then, a woman ran up to Bob. She was crying.
My little girl is still inside. You have to help her.
It's very dangerous,
Said Bob.
but we'll do everything we can to save your little girl.
Maple sprayed water on the fire, and Linus broke down the door. Bob got ready to go inside. Suddenly, Spot started growling and pulling on Bob's pants. Bob stopped to look at Spot, and just then, a big piece of wood fell in front of the door.
Spot, you saved my life.
Cried Bob.
Now, what are we going to do? We have to save the little girl, but we're all too big to get inside.
Said Maple. That's when Spot jumped through the door and ran into the burning building all by himself. It was hot and dark in the library, and the smoke hurt Spot's nose, but he didn't give up. After a few minutes, he heard a noise. It was a little girl's voice calling.
Help! Help!
Spot listened carefully and followed the little girl's voice. She was hiding behind a big bookcase, crying and too scared to move. But when she saw Spot, she stopped crying. Spot licked her face and carefully pulled her by the hand. The little girl stood up and followed Spot. Pieces of burning wood fell down around them, but the little girl wasn't scared at all. She felt safe with Spot. Spot led the little girl all the way out, and just as they got outside, the whole roof fell down with a crash. Spot got his picture in the newspaper, and everyone said he was a hero. But Spot didn't care about all of that. He was happy because he made a new friend.
Take out your storybook, The Beatles, and turn to page 1. Remember to follow along with your finger and repeat as we read the story together.
The Beatles. Written by Tim Castling. Illustrated by Everleaf Publishing Studio. One day, Tim found a book about Beatles in the library. He showed it to Wally, Paul, and Pam. They all thought the Beatles were super cool. Then Wally had a great idea.
Let's go to the forest and look for some more Beatles.
The kids rode their bikes along a path into the forest.
Now what?
Whispered Tim.
Now we look for Beatles.
Answered Wally. They looked under rocks. They looked behind trees. They looked in bushes. Nothing. hiding, said Pam.
Let's wait for them to come out,
Wally suggested. The children waited for a long time, but nothing happened,
I can't wait anymore,
said Paul.
I'm going to look up in this tree.
Be careful, called Pam, but it was too late. Help! Shouted Paul. I'm stuck, and I can't get down. We have to help him,
It's too high. We need to work together,
said Wally. Wally got down on his hands and knees. Pam stood on his back, and Tim got ready to catch Paul and Pam.
Jump!
Called Tim.
It's only a little way.
Jump! Shouted Pam. You can trust us. So Paul held Pam's hand and fell right onto her. Pam and Paul fell onto Tim, and everyone landed on top of Wally. Everyone was laughing until suddenly Paul said,
Hey, what's that by your head, Pam? Wow, that's a big bug.
Pam screamed and hid behind a tree. Maybe it can bite, she yelled.
And make you sick.
Shouted Paul as he ran away.
Don't worry, that's the long-armed scarab. It can't hurt you.
Said Tim. And then Wally said,
Look, there's a beetle with a big nose. Ah, that's a rhinoceros beetle.
said Tim.
I think we bumped this old log.
Began Wally.
And that's where the beetles were hiding.
Said Tim. They found all kinds of different beetles in the old log. They found colorful jewel beetles, scary stag beetles, and even some yellow long-horned beetles. After a while, Paul said,
Why don't we catch a whole lot of beetles and take them home? I think we should leave these beetles here in the forest,
said Wally. Then we can still see them whenever we want, said Pam. A few weeks later, the kids went back and saw that the beetles had babies. Lots of babies.
Wow, I'm so glad we didn't take the beetles home,
said Paul.
Yeah, me too,
smiled Wally.
Beetles are insects. They have a hard body and 6 long, thin legs. They have 4 wings and like to eat rotten wood and leaves. Beetles live in or under rotten logs in the forest. They live most of their life under the ground and only come out of the ground a few months before they die. The beetles we usually see are in the adult part of their life cycle. The life cycle of beetles. Eggs become larvae. Larvae become pupae. Pupae become adults. Adults lay eggs. Look at all of the beetles that you can see in Taiwan. Here are 2 special kinds of beetles. Formosan long-armed scarab beetles are usually 50 to 60 millimeters long. There are not many left in the forest, so if you see one, don't play with it. Rhinoceros beetles can be 35 to 90 millimeters long. They are very strong and can lift 100 times their own weight. That means they can lift 25 10 NT coins.